Welcome back to America's Retirement Headquarters, home of the Retirement Guys formula and America's Medicare Associates. Really do appreciate you joining us this weekend. We appreciate Chaz Price, Scott Kerschner, and Troy Kerschner joining us this week. And we're kind of talking a little earlier, and so many of us, and I'm sure listeners out there as well, love to relax with a nice massage. I was actually reading about a massage therapist who claimed that she could tell a lot about a person after just one visit. Everything from figuring out what kind of work they do based on stress points to whether or not they exercise. Now, guys, I'm not positive, but I have to imagine you guys aren't giving people back rubs and stuff when they come into the office. But when you first sit down with a potential client, what can you tell about them?
Well, you're absolutely right. I don't know about you guys, but I tell you what, I've had several massages, and I love them. Absolutely love them. Never thought I would, but I do. And it's kind of funny because my massage therapist actually will say, so you had a tough week, you're a little stressed up, you're a little tight, you're a little tense. And, kind of like what you said, Chris, reading the article and talking about how some of the massage therapists can tell, I don't know if she can tell what I do, but she knows that whatever I do is stressing me out. When we meet with clients, I go through that same thing. I can sit and see somebody coming in and when I talk to them, I ask them, when I talk about Medicare, the one question I ask is, what is the most important thing you need on Medicare? Is it the core benefits, or is it dental, vision, hearing, prescriptions? And you'd be surprised, a lot of people say a lot of the same stuff. They all say dental is in the top three. I mean, dental is very, very important to them. Troy, being the rookie on the team and being new to this, one of the things that I've always mentioned to you is to learn to read people. And if you sit and talk with them, they will tell you everything you need to know. Just let people talk. And I think that's general life advice, right? So you've met with a lot of clients with me, all different types, fun. Some people are a little nervy, a little amped up on some different things. What have you seen with some of the people that have come in? And as I go through my presentations, give the listeners a little bit of an overview of what you think you pick up on.
Yeah, so I've learned a lot over the past, few years of my life, maturing to how to read someone's body language. One of the first things I notice that when they come in is a lot of people tend to be really tense and nervous and don't know what to expect. And then after the meetings, they realize how everything's going to be okay. They're in the good hands. And then a lot of them are just a lot more relaxed and more fun afterwards because they're not so tense and nervous. And a lot of people actually end up crying during a lot of the meetings just because they learn everything's going to be okay and I have no reason to be stressed anymore. So that's definitely the biggest thing I've learned so far.
Chaz, you and I had the opportunity to meet with a client, and this particular client was really contemplating retirement. Mm-hmm. And this kind of leads into what Troy just said. This one client really rings loud and clear with me on this one. They went to one of my events. They loved what they heard. They come in, and they were looking to retire, and they were taking a plop of money when they retired. And I brought you in to talk with her, and you went through and kind of helped her out. Why don't you tell them what you did for her, and then I'll come back in and explain what I did and how her reaction was.
Yeah, so that's a great point, and I'm as I'm hearing you say that, I'm trying to think, because we've helped so many clients in that same mindset, because with Social Security decisions to make, Medicare decisions to make, retirement, it can be overwhelming, particularly with all of the alphabet soup that is Medicare and government benefits. But yeah, speaking about Teresa, we just were able to save her, I want to say probably 10 grand in taxes.
Sure.
One of the little unknown nuances of retirement planning is that if you cash your 401k out, you're required by law, the employer's required to keep 20% back. And so, she didn't really have a need for all of the money, and she had pretty much already signed all the documents and paperwork and sent it in. I said, Teresa, if you roll this money over, this will save you 10 grand in taxes, approximately. She was like, well, let's see if we can get him on the phone. We were able to get him on the phone, stop the distribution, and kind of reroute to a rollover and to save her on taxes. Another real quick example I was thinking of is Bruce and Joan. Basically, I think you'd mentioned in a meeting that they were very nervous about retirement. Like, hey, we need a guy.
Sure.
And you're like, hey, we got a guy. And I owed you some lunch because we did run over a little bit on that night appointment. But I could tell body language. She was very nervous, just unsure. They, to be honest, hadn't saved a tremendous amount of money, maybe, certain amount, but it wasn't an exorbitant amount. I think that's what had her nervous. But after we went through the financial plan process, I could see the stress
Absolutely.
reducing off because her plan had 100% probability of success, primarily because they didn't spend a lot
Right.
and they had no debt, no mortgage, no car loans or anything. So the biggest takeaway, it's all relative. Don't think because you heard, to Troy's point, somebody say you need $1 million to retire. Somebody that has $1 million in loans and expenses needs $1 million to retire. Maybe
Sure.
you don't. It's all relative. Take the time, go through an analysis with us. You'll feel a lot better by doing it.
Absolutely. And then to wrap up, like I said, with Teresa, she came in and she was so thankful that she says, "Thank you so much for introducing me to Chaz." I mean, that what he told me was unbelievably valuable to me. So then I go through the process with her insurance. And I show her different options, and she actually picked an Advantage plan, and because for her it made sense, it was perfectly in line with what her needs were, and she literally turned her back to us, and had tears in her eyes, and Troy, he witnessed that, and I said, "Are you okay?" She says, "I just can't tell you how overwhelmed I am right now. Thank you for helping me out. I didn't know what I was going to do prior to coming here." Those are just a few of the little stories that we deal with on a day-to-day basis, and it's truly what makes this the greatest job ever, and I love what I do in helping people. I know, Troy, you're going to get there. You're young and eager to learn, which is awesome. And Chaz, you see that as well. It's just what we do here. Helping people is the most satisfying thing you can do. And when you see that stress relieve their bodies, it's awesome.
It's all about getting people not just to retirement, not just through retirement, beyond that, and it takes into all these different factors: taxation, income, insurance, the probability of long-term care, estate planning, and so much more. And so if you have concerns about these things, or, if you hadn't thought about these things and you're starting to think now, but before you spiral, pick up the phone, give a call, and start putting a plan in place. 419-794-3030 is how you do that. Reach out to the team at America's Retirement Headquarters, 419-794-3030. You can always find them online, arhq.com. And as I've said countless times here on the show, I really do mean it. We appreciate you spending part of the day with us here on the show, here on America's Retirement Headquarters. Chaz, Scott, Troy, welcome again. We appreciate you guys as always. And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with the final word.
Well, spring is upon us, and enjoy the warmer weather as it gets here. The flowers and the buds are starting to bloom. That's a fun time. Thank you all for listening, and Troy, thanks for joining, and Chaz, thanks again. As always, I appreciate it. Join us every Saturday from noon to 1 on WSPD 1370, home of America's Retirement Headquarters and America's Medicare Associates.